Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the Chairman of the Caribbean Community and Prime Minister of Jamaica, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, as he addresses this gathering and declares open the 39th regular meeting of the Conference of the Heads of Government of the Caribbean Community.
Excellencies, the Most Honorable Sir Patrick Allen, Governor General, and the Most Honorable Lady Allen. Your Excellencies, colleague heads of state and government, Mr. Tony Hilton, representing the Leader of the Opposition, Chief Ministers and Ministers of Government, Ambassador Erwin LaRocque, CARICOM Secretary General, newly installed President of the CCJ, Justice Saunders, members of the Jamaican Judiciary. I wish to acknowledge former Prime Minister P.J. Patterson, whom we all agree is the epitome of the Caribbean man. High Commissioners and ambassadors and special emissaries, representatives of regional and international organizations, distinguished delegates, members of the local and international media, ladies and gentlemen, all welcome. Allow me to specially acknowledge my colleague CARICOM heads who have been re-elected or newly elected since our last meeting. Dr. the Honorable Keith Mitchell, Prime Minister of Grenada. And the Honorable Gaston Brown, Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda. The Honorable Mia Mottley, the first female Prime Minister of Barbados. Heartiest congratulations and best wishes during your tenure in office. And you will notice that they have all won with big victories. So that is a sign of things to come. On behalf of the government of Jamaica, I extend a warm welcome to the 39th regular meeting of the Conference of Heads of State and Government of the Caribbean Community. Jamaica last had this honor of hosting the regular meeting 7 years ago. We are absolutely delighted to have another opportunity to share our friendship and our warm Jamaican hospitality. Yes, make them welcome, as Ms. Lou would say. I'm pleased to note that this meeting includes attendance of all heads of state and government, all. We have 4 associate members here as well. And we have the highest number of delegates ever for such a meeting. I wish to register my appreciation to the outgoing chairman of the conference, President Jovenel Moïse of Haiti, for his stewardship over the past 6 months. I also pay special tribute to the CARICOM Bureau, with whom I've had the honor of serving since January. I look forward to our continued collaboration as we work towards engineering innovative and enduring solutions. Let me convey sincere appreciation to Secretary General Ambassador Erwin LaRocque and the staff at the Secretariat for partnering with us in preparing for this summit. Jamaica looks forward to working closely with you over the next 6 months. Today, July 4th, marks the 45th anniversary of the establishment of CARICOM. It is only appropriate for us, therefore, to pause and reflect on the many experiences along the road of regional integration. Our journey over the years has seen many significant achievements, of which we can all be justly proud. The survival of any institution, however, depends on its willingness to introspect and engage in a process of renewal. Indeed, this 45-year milestone represents an opportune time to evaluate our institutions. As we look towards the commemoration of our 50th anniversary, we owe it to the people of the region to deliver on commitments made to an effective process of regional integration that will improve the quality of their lives. The CARICOM single market and economy is undoubtedly the single most significant regional initiative that has occupied the attention of member states since its inception in 2003. However, progress has not been commensurate with our aspirations. Accordingly, we have agreed to devote significant time to further examination of the CSME. The Prime Minister of Barbados holds the responsibility for the processes relating to the CSME, and we look forward to working with her energetically towards a practical path to progress in this regard. Colleagues, as chairman, I accept with honor and humility the responsibilities. I take this opportunity to reaffirm Jamaica's commitment to the principal objectives of CARICOM, including the expansion of trade and investment opportunities for its members, the promotion of foreign policy coordination and structured functional cooperation. Jamaica's chairmanship will have a specific focus and intention, mindful of the rapidly evolving dynamics of our global world and the need for practical and effective responses to the changing realities. Our work will be undergirded by the theme, building stronger, resilient, and secure partnerships for prosperity. With this in mind, we will call upon all member states to summon the necessary political will and determination to ensure that all programs and initiatives are strategically focused and geared towards meeting an ambitious process of reform. Colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, given the ever-changing global dynamics, it is imperative that we undertake an honest and thorough assessment of whether the community is appropriately positioned to collectively advance economic cooperation for the mutual benefit of our countries and peoples. Those considerations were at the heart of my decision to establish a commission to review the effectiveness of existing arrangements within the CARICOM community, as well as to explore the scope for strengthening partnerships within CARICOM and CARIFORUM frameworks. I want to thank former Prime Minister Bruce Golding and the team that he led for the detailed work and practical recommendations they have made in their report. Since the release of the Commission's report earlier this year, there have been several insightful reactions within and beyond our borders. Recently, the Jamaican Parliament engaged in an in-depth bipartisan exchange on the report and affirmed its general approval of the document, recommended that it be used as a guide for the fundamental transformation of the community, having regard in particular to the CSME and the CARICOM institutions. In view of economic considerations, the Parliament adopted a landmark resolution which was consistent with the spirit of the Commission's 33rd recommendations. Among the main issues covered in the resolution is the need for CARICOM member states to make a clear and definitive commitment to establishing the single market with specific, time-bound, measurable, and verifiable programs of actions to fulfill all outstanding obligations within a period of 5 years. In the coming months, we will place special emphasis on those initiatives which have the most potential for streamlining at the national and regional levels. These involve those catalytic initiatives which are in line with strategic priorities of the community and are meant to steer us towards building economic, social, and technological change and development. We will seek to optimize the transformative power of our women. And I wish to acknowledge my wife, Juliet, and Mayor, I think you have a kindred spirit in Juliet. We will seek to optimize the transformative power of our women, who represent 51% of our population, as well as our youth. We have been severely criticized by our youth, who have grown weary of our promise to secure deeper integration within the framework of the single market and economy. Those promises have remained elusive, and young people are calling for CARICOM leaders and institutions to be more accountable for their actions. Integration should be real and meaningful to our people. Areas of importance to young people include the right of free movement, and in particular, the right of skilled labor to move freely, as well as equitable access to our professional law schools, as required by our modern tertiary education landscape. We must deliver on these so that our young people can have renewed belief in CARICOM. It is my considered view that the single market is a victim of our own reluctance to fully and functionally establish it. As I have often stated, the CSM is the ultimate manifestation of regional integration. Some of its pillars represent the only real means by which our citizens will experience the process of integration. We must therefore, as leaders of this great community, relentlessly pursue the goal of overcoming our implementation deficit. We must address the critical role of the single market in supporting economic growth and development, in further facilitating trade in goods and services, the expansion of investment, and the free movement of people across our region. The ever-growing challenge of crime, violence, and security will be addressed fully and frankly at this summit, and will be one of the main priorities of Jamaica's chairmanship. The incidence of gun and gang violence, though on the decline in some member states, has escalated sharply in others, with severe effects on citizen security and economic development prospects. We must do everything in our power to ensure that the well-being of each of our citizens, as well as our economy, infrastructure, and territory, are protected from all real and present threats, such as the illicit trafficking in narcotics and firearms, trans-border criminal activities, and cyber attacks. If we fail in this crucial task, then our economic growth and sustainable development will be stymied, and our life-sustaining industries, such as tourism, could be destroyed. These challenges transcend borders. and are difficult, if not impossible, for any one country to solve or surmount alone. A synergetic approach is therefore required through increased vigilance, information sharing, and networking among member states and our international development partners. Colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, building resilience to the effects of climate change and natural disasters in our region is an absolute imperative for our survival. The costs associated with the frequent reoccurrence of natural disasters are excessive. The World Bank had indicated that Hurricane Irma caused damages of 14% of GDP for Antigua and Barbuda. And for Dominica, the total damage was 226% of GDP. Imagine that. Our reality is one of deep vulnerability created by existential threats that far transcend our income status. Notwithstanding our tremendous resource constraints, the Caribbean is taking responsibility for designing appropriate risk mitigation, risk transfer, and risk financing tools. And I want to just pause here for a minute, because many times we talk about Caribbean integration in very lofty terms, and very rarely are we able to bring to our population the real benefit and importance of an institution like CARICOM. It was one Saturday evening that I received a panic call that things could go awry in Dominica. I got on the phone and I spoke with my brother Roosevelt and confirmed that there was a need for support. We, as a small country, did not have the means to airlift our disaster emergency response team from the Jamaica Defense Force. But with the help of our good friends from Canada, partnerships, we were able to move 120 of our emergency disaster response team from the Jamaica Defense Force. To support our friends in Dominica. But I want you to appreciate the context within which this happened. There were about 3 or 4 major hurricanes which hit the region. Our traditional partners were all tied up. Their assets were all tied up responding to other countries with which they have direct responsibility. So there was a space, a delay, a gap in responding to another sovereign state within the Caribbean region that we all as CARICOM people are collectively responsible for. Without the brotherhood, without the friendship, but without the functional cooperation, but without the economic growth and prosperity in our own countries, our capacity to respond to natural disasters and threats like these, which are becoming increasingly frequent and more intense, that capacity will be limited. So CARICOM is absolutely important. from a functional perspective. It is important from an economic perspective. It is important from a resilience perspective. It is the means by which truly we will be able to survive and recover from existential threats. CARICOM is real and important. So, organizations like CDEMA, which represents part of our functional corporation, is grossly underfunded. And as heads, we have to do more within our fiscal limits, but it is an imperative for the survival of the region. And to that end, I wish to point out that as a result of the meeting of the World Tourism Conference held here recently in Montego Bay, there will be the establishment of a Global Resilience Center on Tourism, which will be hosted at the University of the West Indies Mona campus. Tourism is usually the worst affected industry as a result of natural disasters. But it is, for most, if not all of our islands, the livelihood of our people. And therefore, specific attention has to be paid to our ability to plan for and recover from natural disasters very quickly. Friends, forging strong, fruitful partnerships with our bilateral and multilateral partners on behalf of CARICOM is another priority area for Jamaica's chairmanship. We need more than ever to strengthen our engagement with our partners. We hear the calls made about the increasing trend towards the imposition of global compliance rules. It can be fatiguing, as pointed out by my friend Gaston, but our response is not to shirk from the responsibility, but to ask for fairness and equity in how global compliance regimes are conducted. We were recently given the opportunity to participate in the G7. Myself and the President of Haiti, the outgoing chairman of CARICOM, had the opportunity to place on the table with the developed industrial nations the challenges that small, open economies face, from the existential threats of climate change, sea level rise, of security issues, but also of issues to do with the structure of the global financial architecture and the world system of ranking countries by per capita income, which, when it is examined from the perspective of all our small open economy, it is unfair to say that we are middle-income countries and therefore we don't need any consideration in the international financial architecture, when in fact just one hurricane could wipe out our entire economy twice over, as it did to Dominica. We place that on the table for consideration. We placed as well the issue of global compliance. That countries, small countries, are now burdened with having to put in place systems of compliance, whether it is with the OECD, whether it is with the European Union, whether it is with the United States. But as I said earlier, Our response is not to shirk from the responsibility of global compliance, but to ask for fairness and support in developing and implementing the systems. Because at the end of the day, our small economies must stand up as examples of transparency, accountability, and stand strong against any hint of corruption. Similarly, I've been invited to participate in the G20. This is the first time that any small economy will be asked to participate, and I will use the opportunity once again to raise the issues affecting small island developing states. Colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, there is absolutely no doubt that CARICOM will have to contend with challenges, uncertainties, and setbacks as we pursue our community building efforts. This is not exclusive to our regional experience. However, in order to keep progressing, we will have to keep evolving. I unreservedly believe that it is worth recommitting to collectively harnessing the potential to drive development and prosperity in the region. Indeed, we have a responsibility to our people to drive real and measurable progress. Let us not fail them. Our collective future depends on our commitment to building stronger, resilient, and secure partnerships for prosperity. I thank you, and I wish for all of us a happy CARICOM Day and a productive and rewarding summit. I thank you.
Prime Minister of Jamaica and Chairman of CARICOM, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness.
Thank you, Prime Minister Holness. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our proceedings this afternoon into evening, and we'd like to thank all of you for honoring us with your presence. We ask that you stand and remain in place until the procession of Their Excellencies, the Governor General and the Most Honorable Lady Allen, heads of state, governments, and associate members of the Caribbean community depart the hall, after which you are invited to a reception in the courtyard.
On behalf of the hardworking team here at the Jamaica Information Service, we thank you so much for tuning in to our live coverage of the opening ceremony of the 39th regular meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government of CARICOM.
Distant lands our forefathers came, some seeking adventure, some bound in chains. Battles waged and fought, through victory and pain. By test of their courage, our freedom was gained. In homage to those gone before us, the heroes of lands in the sun, we vow to join hands and to focus on building one Caribbean. Raise your voices high, sing of your Caribbean pride. Sing it loud
Once again, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It has been my pleasure.